we're going to bring you the expert advice from a variety of authors, consultants, and thought leaders who will provide the tools you need to maximize your own personal and professional margin. Welcome to the Massimo Show. Hey, this is Rod Santomassimo with the Massimo Show. And it's time for you to pull over, pay attention, because this is going to be an amazing story of how one individual has tragedy, has major challenges, and ultimately not only becomes a top producer, but has a fabulous life. And yeah, all in the state of Hawaii. So let's get right to it, to this Massimo Show with our special guest, the one and only Anthony Provenzano. Anthony, welcome to the Massimo Show.
Thank you. Thank you for having me on.
Well, Anthony, thank you for your time. And we're going to dive right into it. Look, first, share with the audience where you are today. What do you focus on? What's your specialty?
So I'm a commercial real estate broker in Honolulu, currently at ChaneyBrooks, Cushman Wakefield. I specialize a lot in sales of commercial properties. We also do a lot of leasing, mainly on the industrial side.
Okay, perfect. And so, Anthony, always transparent with our audience. You've been working with the Massimo Group for several years. How long have you been working with us?
I think I've been with you for about a little over 5 years now.
5 years now. And yes, and though I don't coach anyone anymore, except for one individual, I actually coach Anthony first and foremost before he was transitioned to other coaches and have blossomed with them. So let's get right to it, Anthony. Look, we always start the Massimo Show with where people grew up, what their life was like, what their passions were. Your story's gonna be a little different. So do you want to share a little bit about your youth and some of the challenges and struggles and tragedies that you had?
Sure. So I grew up in Hawaii. I played a lot of sports growing up. I played baseball from t-ball all the way up to high school. Karate, I have 2 black belts before the age of 14. National gold titles and medals, and played basketball, did a whole bunch of sports growing up, went to a decent school. Unfortunately, at the age of 14, my father passed away from hepatitis C, and my kind of life went into a whirlwind for a little bit there. Was placed into a foster home. The first foster home I went into had chains and locks on the refrigerator, and I couldn't eat when I wanted to in the middle of the night when I was hungry. And I realized that was probably not the place for me. So I ran away, and I was homeless throughout a lot of high school. I figured out how to get out of that by doing construction work. So as a contractor, I got my GED. Then I started at the community colleges here from pre-college math and English, and figured that construction probably wasn't for me, and I wanted to own my own business. So I started a screen printing business. So I made t-shirts out of a garage that I rented in my 1-bedroom apartment, and that paid my way through college. Wound up getting a finance degree with a focus on real estate and interning in real estate. And ever since then, just been in real estate. So
there's so much, Anthony, to unpack there. Certainly the tragedy of your father, then the transition to foster homes. Now, were you a single child or did you have siblings?
I had a younger brother, and he was 5 years younger than me. So at the age of 21, he was still in a foster home. He was in his senior year of high school. And so I decided to take a year off of school, and I sold cars locally here. This Cutter motor cars is what they're called. And I had known one of the owner's sons. And he said, come over and I'll give you a job. So I took a year off of school. I sold cars. I had enough money to where I went to the judge and I said, hey, look, I can be his legal foster parent and have enough money to support him. And the judge granted me. So I was my brother's foster parent at the age of 21.
Crackers. Unbelievable. But there was a competitiveness in you, certainly a drive, just shown by your athletic accomplishments, 2 black belts, the championships you had. So how did that all fit into this amazing journey in these early years of your life? Had that competitive nature, was that part of it? I mean, what was it that drove you?
I think that was part of it. I think learning from sports as my basis helped me with the drive and motivation that I knew I wanted to do something bigger and better. And I think that drove me. And then also during the high school years, drove me to be a better person, be stronger, and the grit and motivation to drive to where I am today, I guess.
Well, we'll get to that in a few minutes. It's incredible what you've accomplished. But let's talk about those early commercial real estate brokerage days. Take us back to that first role position. What were you doing when you entered commercial real estate?
I was an intern. I wanted to learn as much as I could. I didn't know what I wanted to do. I just wanted to do commercial real estate. I knew that there was no glass ceiling, so I could work as hard as I wanted to. I liked that commercial real estate offered that I could always learning about people's businesses, meeting new people. It's flexible. I get out what I put in to it. And that was really motivating to me.
What would you do those first year on the job? What were you doing?
Cold call every single day, all day long.
So what did that first year look like for you don't give me numbers, but was it a struggling year financially? Did you end up doing pretty well? Well, tell me about that.
Tough. I mean, it was super tough. The first place I started at, they gave me a draw, barely minimum wage, and I didn't even hit it really. So I actually owed money the first year. I started off in retail because I knew what retail was, right? You go and you buy a shirt, like, oh, that's your retail store. I know what that is. It makes sense to me. So I started off on the east side of the island, and I went through and cold called every single shopping center all the way out to the west side of the island. So the whole island. I went through every single shopping center, and I did one deal that whole year. It was terrible.
So retail, you're thinking now, maybe this is not the niche for me. So did you make a transition? If so, where to?
Yeah. So I figured that wasn't for me. I tried office for a real brief period of time, about a month. I cold called a couple office buildings, got kicked out several times, several of them. What my principal broker had me do when I first started is he goes, call all your past clients from your screen printing business, everybody you know, and tell them you're all in real estate. I was like, oh, what a great idea. What a good concept. I started doing that. Hey, I'm selling my business. I don't have it anymore, but I'm in commercial real estate. So if you or you know anybody that wants to buy, sell, lease a building, let me know. And so happened in screen printing, a lot of people are in t-shirts. A lot of people are these contractors that rip shirts, they have holes in them. And so they would need shirts all the time. So I had this one business, it was called a concrete pumping company. And they said, Anthony, I have an acre of land I need to sell. And I'm like, what? Wow, this is awesome. Great. I can sell it for you. So I go and I get the principal broker and we pick up the listing. And so then I started cold calling industrial. And this is after 2 years into the business. And so I'm like, okay, let's try industrial. So I did the same thing, cold call every single industrial park over and over and over again. I couldn't sell this thing. I didn't know why. And so I walk into the industrial guy's office after 6 months, just frustrated, cold calling all day long, just sweating, dripping sweat. I'm like, guys, why can't I sell this thing? And they're like, oh, you're overpriced. I'm like, overpriced? What a concept. I would have had no idea. They're like, okay, let me take you under our wing. So then I had a mentor all of a sudden. And that was a big break. They started teaching me the ropes, what to say, what to do. We got the thing priced correctly. I actually sold it and started making some money. So that was kind of the start of it. But during that whole time, I collected business cards and I built a database. And databases back then were Excel spreadsheets, which I hate, and Outlook. So you've helped me kind of get to where I am today. But that's what I started with. So I had thousands of people that I had met and I put them all in Excel spreadsheets. And I still have those sheets to today.
Well, a big takeaway there for the listeners, especially the young listeners, regardless of what industry you're in, aligning with a mentor made a huge difference for me even 30 years ago when I started, and certainly continues to make a difference, made a difference for Anthony as well. So that mentor played a major role. How long were you under the wing? Did you start working together on deals? Tell us about that relationship.
Yeah, so that deal we started immediately working on together. And then they started putting me on some other things as kind of a runner, cold caller. They're like, hey, you're out there, go pass this flyer out too. And here's a lease deal, go pass this out. And so I became on the industrial team under these two guys, Jay and Skip. And Jay kind of took me under his wing and we bonded and made a friendship and still talk today. And he's really helped me out to be where I am today.
And how many years ago was that?
I've been in the business now for 13 years.
13 years? So, 13 years.
12.
Okay, perfect. Hey, this is Anthony. So now you're in commercial real estate. You have a mentor. What's the next big step for you? What's the next big transition?
So we left the first firm that I was interning at and started in, and we went to another local firm, and I went with my mentor, and we started really picking up some larger projects because we had a team. And so that really helped do some sales, some leasing, continue to cold call, build a database. And those things really helped
How big was the team at that point? What the team look like? Was that you and the mentor and anybody else?
There's just two of us.
Okay. So you were with that firm for several years, I think almost 8 years. Were you and the mentor together the whole time?
Probably about halfway through is when we started to break off. I started to make strides. I learned a lot. And then I wanted to kind of grow my own team also. So I broke off and started to dabble in that.
Okay. So at that point, you're in the business for at least 7 years, so 8 years maybe, and you're thinking, I could do this on my own. You had enough proof, enough financial results that you felt strong commercial real estate was for you?
Yeah, I think there's a transition in about 3 to 5 year mark in the business where those leases that you initially do 3 years or 5 years later are starting to come due. And so you're talking to past clients. You're saying, hey, your lease is coming up. What are you doing now? And so some of those people are expanding or they're giving you referrals, things like that. So that really helped kind of kick it off and go to the next level.
Okay. So you were continue to stay in touch with your inactive clients, not past clients, your inactive clients, and you were re-engaging them, continuing that model, multiplying relationships. So you thought you start your own team at the other firm. Were you able to start your own team?
I was. I initially had heard about one person and then brought him over, and we didn't really hit it off. We didn't have AVAs back then.
So you didn't preview his natural behaviors and truly knew who he would be before you brought him on, correct?
Exactly.
Okay, I understand. So just not a good fit.
It wasn't a good fit for us. Yeah, wasn't a good fit. So I was on the board of the finance club at the University of Hawaii when I was there. And that's helped me to get into this field because I started to meet people in commercial real estate, different fields. So I decided to give back. And so I went back to the University of Hawaii and I said, hey, look, now I can be a mentor to some of these kids that might want to get into commercial real estate. So they would have these business interaction nights with the students. And there was one person there, this girl who works for me now, who was like, Anthony, I want to be in commercial real estate. I'm like, okay, all right, sure you do. I'm like, go get your real estate license and come talk to me. And the next semester she came back, she goes, Anthony, I got my real estate license. Can I have that internship now? And I'm like, whoa. That was a shock. She took initiative and actually did. I'm like, yeah, I guess I kind of have to now. Came over and she was working really hard. She was staying there late, she'd be there at 8 p.m. with me. And I'm like, what are you doing? Go home, go study. So that drive and motivation, I wanted to hire her, and she's worked out really well on our team.
So what role does she fill for you? What exactly does she do with you? She's
an agent. She's a broker.
She goes out and finds business herself?
She does now. Yep. Yes.
So let's move, because I know you worked for all these local firms, which in Hawaii, I mean, does it matter where you are? And you're in Honolulu, but does it matter where you are as far as national firm versus local firm? Is a national footprint mean anything where you are?
I think so now. For the past 2 years, I joined this local firm that had the Cushman Alliance. And so now I'm exposed to national, international deals, people in the mainland where they're doing bigger deals and different things, and connecting with them and networking with those guys. I've been able to pick up some different deals and have just a lot more exposure now than I ever had before.
So when you transitioned to the national firm, to Cushman, what was that like?
So I took the initiative to spend the first 2 weeks of the business. I went from Seattle all the way down to San Diego, and I met with every top industrial broker on the whole West Coast. And that really helped, because today these guys call me and they know me. So it's been really great. To this day, I still work with these guys a lot, and that really helped. So I think the exposure to...
I don't care what you're in. What a phenomenal move. Think about, listeners, whether you're selling insurance, real estate, whatever, finance, whatever you're doing, how can you leverage others in your firm to that extent where you're the go-to guy in your local market? That was an incredible play by you, Anthony. Okay, so with this firm, when you first joined, how many folks were in that firm? How many producers?
I think there was, 12, maybe.
12 producers? And what do you think income-wise, not the number, but ranking in those 12, what do you think you were amongst those 12?
Initially?
Yeah.
Top 5.
Oh, you were in the top 5. Good. Because you came in strong, and that's why they wanted to work with you. But did it seem in your mind that number 1 was in reach right away? Did you say, I'll be there in 3 years, or no, I'm going to do it next year? Your drive, I'm curious, when you put a target saying, I'm going to become number 1.
So the first year I was here wasn't a full year. And I want to say I was either third or fourth ranked. So that last year was my first full year and I hit number one.
That's awesome. So let's talk about hitting number one. For you, it was a major goal. So how did you celebrate?
Well, I had a 1-year-old, so I couldn't really celebrate too much.
Now, hold on. So you hit number one in your second year, but 1 year after your son was born. Did the birth of your first child, your son, did that motivate you more, or how did that impact your drive to succeed?
Yeah, I think it really did. Of course, I was super nervous. I'm sure like most people were, bringing a human into the world. Didn't think I was fit and didn't know if I was ready and all this stuff. But I think it did motivate me. Now I have to produce and provide for another human being in the world. And I think it did inspire me and did drive me to push harder.
But what I love about this, even though you just hit number one this year for the calendar year of 2019, and I follow you on Facebook, and you've taken some extensive trips over the last couple of years. I mean, extensive trips. So give me an example of one trip you took and how long it was.
Oh, gosh. Okay. So my wife and I went to Beijing for a day. We had a layover in Guangzhou, and then we had a 12-hour layover in Egypt to see the pyramids. Then we went to Jordan and spent 2 days there and saw Petra, so 2 wonders of the world. Then we flew from there to Scotland, hung out in Scotland for 2 days, and then we went to Iceland for 3. And then we went to Seattle and home. So we literally went around the world in like a week and a half.
People have a hard time leaving work for a day. You decide I'm taking 10 days, 11, whatever it was, how many days, I'm just going to travel the world. And you've done it you've done it extensively, have you not?
I've probably been to over 30 countries and I've seen the 7 wonders of the world, which was one of my goals.
I had to ask you, how young are you?
I'm 37, just maybe.
So by the age of 37, seeing the 7 wonders of the world. Now, were you worried when you traveled as extensively you did, as far as you did, that somehow your business would collapse? And if not, why not?
So I plan my trips typically every year between Christmas and New Year's when most people are not working. So okay. I would typically take those 2 weeks and go to as many places as I can in the shortest amount of time during that time. And I've done that for several years now. Okay, so let's talk about the success, because a lot of the listeners are going to go, I had this kid, and some guys are younger than you, some ladies are older, whatever it's going to be, right? So listeners, so tell me if you said, hey, Anthony, looking back now, you're now number one, you're going to have to somehow attain this position of being number one. So are you more driven today than you were a year ago to even succeed beyond what you are? Where is you from a mindset standpoint? Yeah, I'm definitely more motivated and more driven than I think I ever was before. Not only am I married and have a 1-year-old, but I have a team now. I have 2 other brokers under me, and then I have a full-time assistant also on top of like outsourcing that we talked about. And so trying to make sure that there's enough on the table and providing for everybody and continuing to grow is a huge aspiration of mine. Perfect. Now grow as far as grow the numbers on your team or grow the income, or both? Which one is it? Both. Yep. So what is the end? I mean, do you want to become a dominant industrial broker or investment broker? I mean, if I ask you what is the vision for you, what is it right now as of today? I want to be the number 1 sales broker in the state. There you go. And do you know what it's going to take to get there? Yeah. Okay. That's all we need to know. Now you have a target. Okay, it's time for some really quick hits. I'm going to ask you some questions. You're going to think, I need more time. No, don't think too much. Just give me the answers, okay? Okay. 3 things that you would say are the reason for your success. Motivation, value of time, and teaching and growing other people. Okay, perfect. So motivation, I get. So so how do you motivate yourself? I think there's a lot of self-motivation in me already. But I think having other people around me is motivating to me too. Okay. Do you do any rituals? I mean, I hear some people do meditation, some do the morning miracle, some do visualization. Is there any rituals in your side? You just get up and you go? I've done all that. I think for me, goal setting is a really big thing for me. Every year I set pages and pages of goals. It takes me probably a month or 2 to do them. And then staying on top of those every month, quarter, year, has helped me to achieve those and get to where I want to go.
Perfect. Okay. Presence, marketing. Do you have a brand? If so, how do you get that brand out to the marketplace?
Yeah. So I recently added another team member about 5 months ago. So with that, we have a team of 4 now, and I wanted to brand it. And so we branded ourselves Pro Team Hawaii. And so we've been growing that brand. And as you know, technology is quick, especially now, more so than it ever was before. And so we're trying to keep up with that. I'm trying to do a lot more videos, social media, and I have a full-time person that does that for us.
Okay, so Pro Team Hawaii is the team, that's the brand, and you have someone on your team who does, in your office, who does all your social media. Is that accurate?
She's an independent contractor. She does it full-time, basically.
That's awesome. Okay, what do you think your clients appreciate about you or your team? What do you think it is? The clients, what is it they reflect on you?
I think they come to us and we're honest. We do the right thing and we work really hard. I was working last night till 9 p.m. after my son went to sleep and got up again at 5 and was on the calls at 6 a.m. with people in California. So I think that helps. But I think our integrity and our honesty, and people call us and they believe we're telling them the truth and doing the right thing.
Perfect. I love it. So what would you recommend to someone that says, like that girl in University of Hawaii once said to you, Anthony, I want to get into real estate, right? People say, Rod, what's the silver bullet? So Anthony, I don't believe in silver bullets. I believe in silver buckshot. But what would you tell someone, say, hey, I want to be successful in real estate? What guidance would you give them?
So I've gotten this several times. Anthony, what do you do? How do you do this? And I tell them my cold calling story and my mentor story. I mean, you need to align with a mentor. This business is tough. You can't do it by yourself. It's too hard. The barriers to entry are way too tough. And you need to get out there and meet people. I mean, you need to go talk to people. And, we do our numbers every year, and you know exactly how many people you have to talk to every day to make a certain amount of people or targets or appointments or all that stuff every single year. So there's no silver bullet. You just got to be diligent, do that thing, which is cold calling in this business.
And for you, is there a target? I know there is. Is there a target number that you try to attempt or reach every day?
100%. Yes.
So what's the number?
I try to make 20 contacts a day, 10 of them new.
20 contacts a day. That's actually talking to people?
Talking to people.
Wow. Talking to 20 people. And that doesn't matter if that takes 20 calls or 100 calls, correct?
Correct. In Hawaii, it's a little bit easier. I could imagine it's not like New York City where people are just hanging up on me. They know who they are. They're a little bit nicer here, so they'll take my calls. So we don't have to make as many calls as some other people do. But yeah, 20 calls is my number every day. Okay,
so the most important question of all, if I recall back when we last spoke, do you still surf every day?
No, I don't.
No? Oh, no. How many days a week do you surf?
Not as much as I used to have a 1-year-old. I can't do it anymore. But maybe I've probably scaled back to 2 times a week, maybe 3 times a week now.
Oh, well, some of our listeners are just cringing, thinking, you surf 2 or 3 times a week? That is absolutely awesome.
In photo that I don't want to show you. It's me on a 30-foot wave.
You on a 30-foot wave? Oh, cheese and crackers. I would share with the audience that my family and I actually went to Honolulu a couple years back now. I think it was 2 years ago, Anthony, maybe 3 years now. Yeah, and we got to sit down and visit with Anthony and go to his office. It was a blast seeing a client, but also just, and then I went to, of course, to Waikiki Beach and watch people surfing, which is not realized, not real surfing. I get that. But just to think you could be out there in the ocean 2 or 3 times a day surfing, jealous.
We wear sweaters when it gets in the 60s.
Okay, there you go. So, Anthony Provenzano with ChaneyBrooks, in Cushman Wakefield affiliate in Honolulu, Hawaii. What a life story. What an amazing transformation. What amazing success this young man has become and will continue to grow with his beautiful family. Anthony, we cannot thank you enough for your time, sharing your story, your insight, and your guidance. God bless you, man. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Rod. Appreciate it.
Okay, take care. I want to thank you for listening to this version of the Massimo Show. And please go out and share this with your friends, your colleagues. Heck, share it with your dog. Just share it. And more importantly, just give me some feedback, good, bad, or indifferent. We all grow from understanding what our audience wants to hear. So until next time, this is Rod Santomassimo with the Massimo Show. Hi, this is Rod Santomassimo, president and founder of the Massimo Group. And did you know that for over the past 11 plus years, we've worked with thousands of independent contractors, solopreneurs, and small business owners just like you in repositioning their and/or their team's efforts so they can build the personal, professional practice they've always dreamed of. We provide coaching programs for all levels of experience, earnings, and yes, success. So if you're finally ready to get off that transaction treadmill and chasing deals that are growing nowhere and start building the personal, professional business and life consisting of greater wealth and more time, well, check us out at Massimo.coach. That's Massimo.coach.